students. Seek welcomes you all for this wonderful webinar series, and this is the first day of our webinar series. And the mantra of Seek is believe in your ability and focus on your strength. So I believe this works a lot and gives you a fortune. A mind that is stretched by a new experience can never go back to its old dimensions. We all differ in our abilities to solve problems, learn, think logically, understand and acquire new knowledge, integrate ideas, attain goals, and so on. But when you put your mind to it, you will work better, smarter, and faster. Intelligence is always work in progress, so you are never too late to add to what you already know. The world is changing fast and new ideas pop up every day. Incorporating them into your life will keep you engaged and relevant. It pays to crave and keep an open mind. Incredibly smart people aren't always born that way, but rather are constantly working to improve their intelligence. You have every opportunity to improve and enhance your way of thinking. Choose smart and stay curious.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Have you started recording?
Yes, ma'am. It's going.
Okay. So today we are going to have a wonderful technical webinar on MEMS in biomedical application. And before entering into the webinar, I would like to take you through few minutes about Seek. It's not moving. Okay. So I'm Dr. Usha Ishwaran, and let me introduce myself. I'm an engineer basically. I'm an electronics and instrumentation engineer, and I run a company named Seek. And Seek is an organization which offers skill development, career guidance, and academic consultancy. I'm basically an academician, educationist, entrepreneur, career analyst, professional life coach, motivational speaker, NLP master practitioner, and a YouTuber. I have about 30 years of experience in the field of industry and education, and I've addressed more than 20 lakhs of people on various topics. And I've trained more than 1 lakh students and placed more than 10,000 students and counseled more than 1 lakh of people. So let me give a brief outline of our Seek. We offer career guidance, academic consultancy for all educational institutions and skill development for all age groups. And we offer services to school like mainly career guidance for the students right from 9th standard. And we also do programs on good touch, bad touch for students, faculty development program for teachers, academic consultancy for institutions, that is for the management as well as the principal, and soft skills for students as well as teachers, and art of parenting for parents, and gender sensitization for all. And coming to colleges, we offer all these courses which I have mentioned earlier for schools. Along with that, we also have specific programs for colleges, like career guidance again from wherever they are, and a lot of skills that are required by the industry, that is 21st century skills, are all covered. And for corporates, of course, all the skills that are required for during employment, as well as the life skills, and especially the POSH Act is focused more. And let me give you a brief guidance. See, when I have shown you this screen, I have different age groups mentioned here: 5 years, 15 years, 22 years, and 40 years. That is We have to visualize our own selves in this. These are all the life stages. When a child is at 5 years, actually, like the child will be pampered like anything. Every parent used to love the kid like anything. Whatever the kid does, everybody will appreciate. So the appreciation is something which is a big motivation for the child, and it comes to an attitude of I can attitude. Like anything you tell at that age, they'll be able to do. So this is what is the power of performing anything that comes from within, that is I can attitude at 5 years. And then when it starts going to school, like there comes the marks, comparison, parent teachers meeting, report cards. So till then, till 5 years, the child would not have heard any negative from their parents or any of the relatives who comes to meet the child. But once it goes to school, a lot of things comes inside, and slowly that I can attitude comes down, and it forms a can I attitude, because the child will be doing something and the teachers and parents will be expecting something else. So that will demotivate the child, and we continue pursue our education as per others advices. People will come and tell us, you study this, you take this course, this is very futuristic, this will help you. See, these all the things what we get, the instructions from outside is not based on analyzing our strength, individual our strength. They will just throw on whatever they know and whatever they think that is right for them, and we cannot customize it for our own future or career. So whenever a person scores good marks, they call them as an intelligent person, and that is what they mark it as success. So this is what we call it as a river of education. By we swim just like that along with everybody. So when we come to 22 years after the degree, whatever we take, we just take any job that comes in our campus drive or whichever is available or wherever the friends are going and joining. It may not be related to your course of study. You study a core engineering and you go and join in IT, or just like that, you just change your vision, just like that, what the friends do. So what happens is, in this we come across a dance of life, because you join in a company and you work for a month and then you feel that it is not suitable for you. You come out and again search for some other job. Either you come out or the company will send you off because you're not suitable for the job. See, all these things comes because you have an unplanned career. So at the age of 40, what happens is the frictional unemployment happens, because you have to stable income is required at that age. You have a family, you need to run the family, you need to pay the bills. But till then, like throughout the education, we never bother about what is our future, what is our strength, where we have to concentrate more on. So based on our ability, our strength, if we could decide our career and study and then take up a job, there is nothing like unemployment or friction there. We will be the happiest forever. Many people think that career is only when you get a job and you work somewhere. But I always insist that career starts right from your learning. Learning to earning is career, because the foundation what we put is this 18 years. The 18 years of foundation is what is going to give the fruit after for your 40 years of work life. So planned career is something you decide your strength, and then explore the occupations whatever is available, and also look at the future demand. If you're going to be in the 10th standard or 12th standard, now you have to think 5-6 years ahead and how the future is going to be. So this is what we do. We have a very unique psychometric tool through which the children are assessed with their abilities, not only for the children, even for mid careers we do. People who are in the 20s and 25, 30, they want to change their career also, they can take up this opportunity. And based on that, we extract all your strengths and abilities, capabilities, and how you will be in your career. And based on that, a career path is designed, which is going to be a perfect path to make everyone happy. So this is one of the major service we provide in SEEK. And this is what is the career guidance speaks about. Know yourself, know your personality, know your strength, know your interest, know your potential. Then you own your career. So this is what is about the SEEK. And also we do a lot of webinars for different colleges and schools based on the topics they ask for. So you can also go through my YouTube playlist, where you can see the numerous playlist topics are there. So you can reach us for anything, whichever is in need for you. And now that we have given a brief idea about SEEK, I would like to welcome our guest today. Welcome Dr. PG Gopinath. He has a very high technical knowledge and experience, And we would be expecting in the another 40 minutes, we gain something out of his presentation. And I would like to brief about Dr. P.G. Gopinath. He has received his PhD in the Department of ECE from Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Anantapur in the year 2019. And he has 14 years of teaching and research experience in the field of VLSI, MEMS, biomedical and signal processing applications. And he is currently working as a Dean, R&D and Professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering at Siddharth Institute of Engineering and Technology, Puttur. And he is a co-investigator for the project titled Design and Development of Micro Cantilever-based Biosensor for Early Detection of High-Risk Human Papilloma Virus, funded by Biomedical Device and Technology Development, Department of Science and Technology, New Delhi, with a funding grant of rupees 36 lakhs. He filed a patent on CNT FET-based biosensor for cervical cancer detection. And he is a member of professional bodies like IEEE, ISTE, IESRP. He is on the editorial board member and reviewer of many indexed international journals. And he visited many countries like Malaysia and Singapore in connection with various academic assignments. He received Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's Best Teacher Administrator Award and Innovative Research and Dedicated Teaching Professional Award. He has guided already 10 PG and 40 UG projects and published work in a different reputed journal. Now the stage is yours, the screen is yours, Dr. Gopinath. Over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for your introduction, ma'am. Yeah. Once again. I can share my screen now. So my voice is audible?
You can share your screen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My voice is audible.
You can share your screen.
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you. So, good evening to one and all present over here. My voice is audible?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. So, thank you very much for your introduction. So, first of all, I would like to thank Seek for giving me this valuable opportunity to share some information regarding this MEMS, particularly on biosensor application. So I welcome all participants to this wonderful evening. Okay, so with this, I will enter into the subject. So today's topic, which is given to me, is MEMS in biosensor application. I think ma'am have given about my introduction, so let me go enter into the slide. Yes. So today, for another 40 minutes, we are going to discuss on MEMS in biosensor applications. So MEMS is a micro electromechanical system. Okay, so which is the combination of a mechanical and electrical component, which is a combination of a mechanical and electrical component, which will perform some sort of operation, and that operation we are going to use in some applications in the day-to-day life. Right. So let me see what are all the contents we are going to discuss today webinar for another 40 minutes. So we will see about what is MEMS, and particularly what is biosensor, and my area of interest on micro cantilever. So I'm going to give some concepts related to operation of micro cantilever and how the micro cantilever is used as a biosensor. And finally, what are all the things which we can work out based on this micro cantilever? What are all the things you can do that? So that we are going to discuss this about the contents which we are going to discuss in this webinar. Next. Now, so let me see what is meant by MEMS. So MEMS is, as I said, so it is an integration of mechanical elements, and mostly in day-to-day life. So forget about these definitions and all. In day-to-day life, we can't live without MEMS. So for example, if you take a mobile, so you will have number of sensors and number of actuators are present. So if you take a communication application, if you take a mobile device, and if you go for a automobile industry, even in all the vehicles, in all the automotive cars, so that the airbag system is there. So everything is based on that actuators and sensors, which are all based on these MEMS devices. So let I tell you the what are all the examples of MEMS device, and then we will enter into the subject. Right. So likewise, you can find an n number of applications. Even when you go for a biomedical, particularly. So particularly if you go for a biomedical, so chronic disease like a cancer and most of the devices which can able to detect when the size of a sensor is very small, right? So this MEMS device assist in the biomedical field so that you can able to detect the particular disease at early stages. So these are some of the applications which we can find about the MEMS. So that we will go into. So as I said, micro electromechanical system is an integration of mechanical elements, sensors, actuators, and moreover, the electronics also be embedded on a common silicon substrate, and it is fabricated in micro level, right now. And moreover, it is a technology. It is a technology which is create to any integrated device that can combine a mechanical and electrical components. And as I said, it is a device which is used to sense and ability to sense and control and actuate on a micro scale and generate micro scale is converted into a macro scale. So we will see one by one. Okay, these are the definitions about the MEMS. So see a tiny sensor. This is an example of a MEMS device. So we can call this MEMS device as a micro machines. Next. So let me come for the size of a MEMS. So what is the size of the MEMS? So our MEMS exists between this area. Let me point at this. So our area of concentration lies between 100 nanometer to 1 millimeter. Okay. So the size of the MEMS lies between, one second. So this is a one second. So 100 nanometer to 1 micrometer is a range of our interest. So we will see the interest. So the example of MEMS device, we can say it as a HIV virus, E. coli, red blood cells, and human hair. So everything coming under the dimensions of this. So we see about the development of MEMS. So actually the MEMS has been started in 1970s. So IBM develops a micro machined pressure sensor used in blood pressure, that is in 1970s. And after that, in 1980s, X-ray lithography has been evolved. In 1991, analog devices. So the main objective of this thing is increasing the commercialization and decreasing the cost. So this is about the development, the historical development, how the MEMS device has been developed. Okay, so still the research is going on MEMS. So let me see some of the use cases where actually the MEMS device plays an important role. See, this is one of the example in which micro flying robot. So in military applications, this plays an important role. Even we can fix a micro motor. Okay, so that by using it consists of a camera and all the devices. So through we can able to this type of micro flying robot used in surveillance applications. So these are some of the applications where you can use them. Okay, the camera integrated and sensor used for so many sensors and actuators actually are installed in this micro flying robot, which will be used in micro applications. See, these are one of the, see, you can able to see this world's smallest car. Okay, so which has also been developed. The car having the dimensions of 4.8 micrometer in long. Okay, and it runs on an electric motor which consists of dimensions of 0.67 mm electric motor. See how much tiny. So that is a advancement in MEMS devices. And this is one more example of 10 micrometer long silicon guitar, okay, which consists of 6 strings, and each consists of 50 nanometer of wide. Okay, so it has been developed. See the size of guitar. It is 10 micrometer. I think you can able to see my scene, right? So can anyone guess what is it? What it is? So let me wait for another minute. Yes. See, this is now one of animation of world's smallest electric car. World's smallest electric car. Its motion is powered by an electrically driven motor made up of nanoscale molecules. Okay. See, these are all the three professors who have invented this particular electric car. See, when you see this structure, this is the structure of your car, and it is made up of molecules, and it is a molecular chassis, and it is a rotating molecular motor. Okay, so for this invention, they got a Nobel Prize in the year 2016. And if you want to take a ride on this car, your body would need to be 1,000 times smaller than the human hair. So that is the miniaturization of this particular electric car. Right, for this invention, three researchers got a Nobel Prize too. Okay, so it's about the some of the examples of our of these MEMS. So let we will enter into the core part. So how this MEMS application, that is the combination of mechanical and electrical property, how we are going to use in this biosensor application, that we are going to discuss. Okay, so we are going to consider that mechanical and electrical operation of MEMS devices in the biosensor application that we are going to discuss in this. So before that, we must know about what is meant by a biosensor, right? So because without knowing a biosensor, if you enter into the MEMS biosensor, I think it's not good. So we will see some of the introduction about the biosensor, and then we will enter into the how the biosensor is fabricated by using a MEMS technology. So biosensor is a device so which is used to detect a particular biomolecule. Okay, so with a simple definition, we can define a biosensor is a device which is used to detect a particular biomolecule, that is subject of interest. Okay, so what is the need? Why we go for this biosensor? See, most of the life-threatening diseases, like whatever the disease, now even the COVID also. So we can able to detect even the body is being affected. Okay, the life-threatening diseases that destruct the human parts are detected when the particular patient reaches to the critical stage. Because why this happens? Because of the limitations in the clinical detection. So our particular device will not having that much of sensitivity to detect at early stages, which means that when it requires some amount of concentration, okay, some amount of concentration is required, then only the device is able to detect. And if the concentration is less, I'll come to the subsequent slide. We will discuss about that. And therefore, we need some devices to monitor some human parameters and the concentration. Okay, that is an antigen. We called as an antigen. Okay. So this biosensor plays an important role in the classification as well as detection of particular disease-causing antigen. So this is about the general block diagram of elements of biosensor. So let me tell you about introduction for another 2 minutes for this particular slide. See, so we will see a sample. A sample is nothing but an antigen. A sample consists of a blood or a urine, whatever it may be. So it consists of an antigen. It should be it should be identified or detected by this biosensor component. So this is nothing but your biosensor or a transducer. So whatever the input which we are given into the particular bioreceptor is your physical quantity. Okay. So and then this biosensor is converted this non-electrical thing into electrical electrical phenomena, which means here if you want to apply any particular chemical, like if you take an blood or any specimen for any sample, and if you are making enter into the biosensor system, it will some chemical or physical changes takes place. So those physical and chemical changes will be converted into an electrical uh, pattern, so that it will be recognized by using an electronic system. See, this the biosensor alone will not give our input, so we need other electronics signal conditioning circuits like amplifier, signal processors, and display unit is required to quantify quantify an amount of concentration. Okay, concentration of that particular analyte can be able to see by using this, by having this signal additional signal conditioning circuits. Okay, so this is about the general block diagram, which shows what are all the elements present in the biosensor system. And he's a guru of biosensor, a father of biosensor. He's a clerk. He only invented nowadays whatever the disease. If you go to hospital, the first thing they are saying is you have to take a blood. Diabetic test. So the diabetic test is invented by this Professor C. Clark. He is an inventor of a Clark electrode. So, and he only proposed a first biosensor model which will detect a particular an amount of glucose which is present in the blood. So after that, so many advancements have been implemented in biosensor. Now, the particular glucose biosensor will becomes very compact, even we can carry in our pocket. Okay, within a fraction of a second, we can able to detect an output. So that much of advancement emerges in particular in glucose biosensor. Okay, so need of biosensor, as I said, so it is very important for our Indian healthcare, particularly because it is expected to become a 280 billion industry, the healthcare industry, because we have a huge population around 1.4 billion in 2020. So therefore, we have to concentrate on this particular area, biosensing area. And as I said, at present scenario, detecting the biomolecule and disease-causing agents in initial stage is a very, it is a very important factor. As I said, it's impossible to detect to even small, minor, even many scientists are struggling, particularly to detect the COVID, particularly. So since the biosensor invention, so many biosensor experiments are going on. Okay, so many biosensor devices are day to day they have been inventing, and but only thing is which device particularly recognize it at early stages, that is more important. So as I said, so high sensitivity biosensor invention is more important. So to detect the particular whatever the disease may be, your ultimate objective is you should design a particular biosensor with highest sensitivity. So let me see the thing. So this is my motivation why I have chosen this particular biosensor. See, so this curve shows particularly on cancer. Okay, this is an angiogenic switch, and particularly, so this is a where. So this graph shows with respect to time versus number of cells. Number of cells means number of cancer cells. When the patient reaches 1 gram of the concentration of cells, the number of cells is 10 power 9, that is 1 gram. So we can able to detect by using our existing clinical detection. Okay, and because here the cancer is there in this particular part alone, in this particular time slot also, but we are unable to detect because of the limitations of our existing clinical biosensor. And so here we are able to detect the particular patient having the cancer, and after that so many tests will be taken, and the patient will be reaches to this point. So when the drugs is being given to that particular patient, the patient will goes to the end stage, so that most of the cancer patients dies. So this is a reason why the cancer patients are, the death of cancer patient because of this particular conditions only. So if our engineers or a scientists or a doctors, if we will do a research to find a particular biosensor to detect the cancer in this particular region, we could able to save many lives. Okay, we could able to save many lives. Even a small detection when it is in, so as I said, when 10 power 9 is a concentration, and if you find a solution to detect on 10 power 8, so it is a very good invention, so that the person can we can able to save the human's life. So even the still the research is going on this particular graph. So that is an early detection. So many of my friends are doing a research on detecting the chronic disease like cancer and other um, uh, cardiac diseases and at early stages. And let me come for our subject today. So today I'm going to discuss only about a cantilever. So micro cantilever is my field of interest. So let me see what is meant by cantilever first. So cantilever in large scale it will discuss, and let me come for in micro level. See, a cantilever is a structure everyone knows about cantilever, right? So cantilever is a type of beam in which it is fixed at one end and free at another. A simple example is your diving board. So diving board, so this is your fixed end and this is your free end. And so when any body subject it to this, when the boy enters at the tip of this particular cantilever structures, what happens? The deflection takes place. The deflections takes place because of this mass of the ball. So this we are going to take as a principle, and then this principle going to apply in the biosensor application. Okay, and see, this is a cantilever which is under the static mode. Okay, just nothing. And this boy is entered and he is standing on the tip of the cantilever, which in this particular cantilever structure undergoes some deflection, some displacement takes place. So with respect to this is in at, at zero position, when with subject with respect to a particular subject is present in the tip of the structure, it will undergo some sort of deflection. So let it be a del Z. So the deflection which we used to term as a del Z. And let me see. So this shows the cantilever modes. As I said, one is static deflection. Whatever the thing which we have discussed in the previous example, okay, the boy at the tip of the cantilever structure is your static mode. Okay, so that is del Z. Okay, I'll tell you these things and all. Okay, and one more thing. Sometimes what happens, it will oscillate. A particular structure will oscillate. So for that, the resonant frequency to be fine. So that mode is called as a dynamic mode. So this mode is called as a static mode, and another one we have used the term as a dynamic mode. Okay. So it will show one animation so that how the resonant frequency of a cantilever changes with respect to mass. Okay. Just a minute. Just a minute, I will share on animation video so that you can able to understand the cantilever in dynamic mode. Just be online. Are you able to see my screen, right? So which is a very simple explanation actually. I'll come back to the slide. See this animation. Hello. Just a minute. Fine. Let me come back to the subject. See, this animation shows how the resonant frequency of the cantilever which changes with respect to mass. Okay. So when the boy enter into the particular structure, it will oscillate some sort of oscillations takes place. Where as well as when we see the second part, a man along with the child is oscillating into the particular structure, which having a different. The oscillation is in different mode. So that is a variation of the a particular resonant frequency that we are going to measure by using some advanced laser diodes. Let me see one more animation. See, I think you could able to see in a micro level. See, there will be some motion of a particular sample is entered, and this is a red color line shows the laser beam. Okay, so by using this laser beam, by using the position sensitive detector, the amount of frequency will be identified. Okay, calculated. So let me see some more clicks. This is a way how a particular laser will hit it to the micro cantilever structure, and how the position is how the laser will be get reflected from the particular cantilever structure and reach to the PSD, okay, position sensitive detector. And it is at rest position. When it is in oscillating position, it will go and hit into the different with different place. So this difference we can able to identify, and this difference will give the value about the concentration of the particular analyte. Okay. So as I said, this is shows a particular microcantilever structure. So we need to find out a particular analyte, a concentration of an analyte. So for that, there will be some coating called as a probe coating. So usually we use the term as a antigen. Okay, antibody as well as antigen coating will be there. Okay, so in which a particular specific antigen alone, it will be attracted by this probe coating. Okay, if you take any sample, for example, if you take a blood sample consists of so many chemical and biological components. But if you want to attract only a particular bacteria, for that we need to specifically do the probe coating in such a way that a particular bacteria alone will be get attracted by this particular structure. That is called as a probe coating. Okay, this is a simple cantilever structure. As I said, it consists of probe molecules, and will have a coat layer, and this is a cantilever structure. Okay, so when this red line shows that is an antigen, when this particular antigen being attracted by this micro cantilever structure, it will undergo certain type of deflection. So it is represented as del H. Okay, so this deflection takes place because of the binding of antibody and antigen. Okay, so it is in micro level. So the typical dimension of this micro cantilever are around 10 micrometers. So let us see, when you see the structure of this micro cantilever, the length will be around 10 micrometer typically. Okay, so this is basically about the cantilever. So this is a cantilever structure with particular probe coating. Okay, so antibody coating will be there. And see, it will have a important property called as a specificity. So specificity property means a particular antigen alone being attracted by this by the structure. See, only a blue color a particular specimen only attracted by this red color white. Okay, so and the remaining other yellow color, red color has not been attracted by this particular structure. Because of this attraction only, the cantilever displaces, it undergoes some particular displacement. So this we are going to take as a principle to find out the in micro level. See, in micro level, even a small viruses can be able to see even this micro cantilever. Even we are doing one work for cervical cancer detection. So based on this particular micro cantilever structure, so where we are designing this micro cantilever in some nanoscale. So when the size of this structure gets decreases, you can able to detect very small tiny particles can able to detect. A small cell you can able to detect. So which will leads to for the detection of cancer. Okay. So even we are using this cantilever structure for the detection of cancer molecules. Okay. As I said, it having a specificity. Okay, it will attracted only by that particular analyte alone. And if some other analyte will be entered into this bio element, say it won't attract. So there will not be any recognition, there will not be any signal. Only a particular signal being attracted, then only there will be a output will be recognized. And this shows the entire system. Already we discussed, right? Analyte, a cantilever, and this mechanical motion is converted into electrical motion. So through by using some piezoelectricity, so see, only we discussed only about the sensor part and how this mechanical motion is converted into electrical by using so many transduction principle. We use the term as a transduction principle. So by using a piezoelectric effect and various by using some laser system, so you'll have an n number of methods are being used. So that we will see one by one. Okay, so in the subsequent slides, I will explain you about the different transduction principle being used for converting the mechanical into electrical. And when it convert into an electrical signal by using our signal conditioning circuit, okay, so many signal processing devices are there, like differential amplifiers, some current amplifier circuits, we can able to detect a particular analyte. And we will go in deep. So as I said, a cantilever is a rectangular object. So can we use this rectangular object means the sensitivity. As I said, the sensitivity is more important. So one shape that we are going to discuss is your trapezoidal. So I'm going to explain about a particular, by taking one as an example, a trapezoidal shaped cantilever, and which provides a higher deflection than the conventional rectangular cantilever. So normally, so far what we discussed is we have taken a rectangular structure. A rectangular structure is a rectangular based cantilever which we have taken. When any antibody antigen that is being combined at this structure, there will be some micro bending takes place. So that is the thing which we have discussed so far. And when we come into the particularly on this shape, okay, so a rectangular cantilever will not give that much of sensitivity. So we have to go for an alternate. So an alternate cantilever is your trapezoidal. Okay. So one more thing, as I said, if you want to improve the sensitivity, only one more point is, if you want to improve the sensitivity of the particular biosensor, particularly in microcantilever, so we have to increase the displacement, total displacement of the microcantilever. So we need to improve the total displacement. So you have to increase the micro bending dimensions. That the del z value should be get improved in order to improve the sensitivity. So the research work is going on for improving this sensitivity. Okay. Now one more thing. So in order for the simulation work, so we can't directly go and get the sample. We can't do directly. For that we have to do some simulation. So there is a software called as a COMSOL multiphysics. The COMSOL multiphysics is a software which will be used to simulate these type of structures in micro levels. And even you can give equivalent pressure or equivalent force, because it is a mechanical structure. So for that, we have to identify, so many literatures are available so that you can able to find out the equivalent pressure produced by the HIV virus, even what is the, when you know the mass value, okay, by multiplication with F equal to MA, you can able to find out the force produced by a particular virus. So that force we can given to the particular mechanical device like a micro cantilever. You can able to find out the what is the amount of bending for the single virus. Also, you can able to do simulation when we go for this COMSOL multiphysics. Now, for this we are going to see some more results. For that, I have taken a 19.2 pascals, and which is a pressure produced by the biomolecule. And what is the pressure means? So that is equivalent to the injection of 2.5 micrometer of myoglobin protein. Okay, so the 19.2 pascals is the pressure which is produced by the injection of 15 microgram per milli of myoglobin protein, which is myoglobin protein is a particular protein which will be cause some our cardiac diseases, which is also one of the protein in our blood which will cause us our that cardiac diseases. So we need to find out the particular myoglobin protein. Okay. Now let me see what happens before entering into that analysis. Let me see the analysis. What happens to the property? Just a minute. Just a minute. Just a minute. See, let me see this particular. Let me analyze. So as I said, the ultimate objective is we are going to study about when this 50 microgram per milli of injection of myoglobin protein is introduced in our proposed structure. So what will be the deflection that we are going to identify? Okay, so some simulation results we are going to study. Now, let me see, before entering into the particular experiment, you should do some basic work. Now, what happens to the displacement with respect to length, with respect to width, with respect to thickness, that we are going to study. Okay, so for the analysis part. Now, when you improve the, when you want, when you, if this experiment is performed even when you take an example of a rectangular cantilever. And see, this shows the length of the, so with respect to length of the, when you increase the length, what happens to the displacement, right? So this curve is drawn by taking a reading, so by increasing the length of the cantilever. Okay, by placing a constant pressure, by giving a constant pressure across the micro cantilever structure, what happens to the total displacement? That is a graph. So from this graph, it is understood that when the length of the cantilever gets increases, the total displacement also gets increases. This is a first finding of your study. Okay, the second finding is, if you want to increase the width of the cantilever, also you may not having that much of variation. Okay, that much of variation you don't have. So that is with respect to width. And let me come for the thickness. Okay, so when the thickness is low, you will have a less displacement. Okay, when the thickness gets increases, the displacement get decreases. So the thickness should be very, very small. So these are the inferences which we have made from the analysis. Okay, now let me go for based on this objective, let me will see some more designs. As I said, the rectangular cantilever not having that much of sensitivity when compared to the other structures. Let me will come for the structure. So here we have I will show about the trapezoidal structure. Okay, let me go for the, because the trapezoidal structure having a very good effect. That okay, so two structures are being proposed in this particular model. in order to find out the particular biomolecule detection, what is your paddle? So when we are going to, as I said, our ultimate objective is to increase the sensitivity of the microcantilever. So if you want to increase the sensitivity, the total displacement for the microcantilever should be gets increased. And even you can vary the shape, and you can vary the material, you can vary the any property of the structure, so that you could achieve that maximum displacement. That is our ultimate objective. So based on this objective, what we have done is, so we have tested a two structures called as a paddle trapezoidal cantilever and stripped paddle stripped paddle trapezoidal shape. So we'll discuss. The ultimate objective is to produce the maximum deflection. Okay, so why we particular this trapezoidal structure which we have taken means, in order to have the low planar area having an with it having the, I mean, this due to this edge effects. So you don't have that much of edge effects. So for that, we are going for this particular trapezoidal structure. See, let me go for the structure, how it looked like, and the material. So for the simulation, I'm going to show you some simulation. So for that, the material which we have considered is your single crystal undoped silicon. So these are all the properties for simulation. The density is 2,300 kilogram per centimeter cube, and having the Young's modulus of 130 megapascals, and the Poisson's ratio of 0.28. See, this structure shows the trapezoidal shape, and this is a paddle. A paddle is a structure. Okay. In addition to that trapezoidal, so we'll have a paddle. A small structure is being added at the tip. So this structure, this shows the three-dimensional view of a particular cantilever. So this is your fixed end. As I said, a cantilever consists of one fixed end as well as one free end. And here you are going to apply an equivalent pressure which is produced by the biomolecule into the top layer of the cantilever, top portion of the cantilever. Okay, then what happens? And here the dimensions which we have taken is 583. So we'll have some I'm taken that 50,000 micrometer square is an area of the microcantilever. This I am taking as a constant. So because in rectangular cantilever, I have done the simulation by keeping this area as a constant, 50,000 micrometer square, with the same area which I have taken for this trapezoidal, and the same area I'm going to take for this paddle trapezoidal. Okay, so we'll see one by one. See, these are all the dimensions which shows about the paddle trapezoidal cantilever. So these are all the equations. I think now we don't have time to discuss. See the simulation. So if we come for the simulation, this shows the simulation result of a proposed cantilever. And when the 19.2 pascals, what is an input and what is output means, here we have given an input of 19.2 pascals, which is an equivalent pressure of that is 2.5 micro. That is the equivalent pressure given by the myoglobin protein for that particular concentration of 2.5. For this, the deflection which we have observed is 0.3741 nanometer. Okay. For that particular low pressure, it will be sensed, and that is 3.741 in 10 power minus 4 micrometer, that we used to term as a 0.3741 nanometer. Now, still, if you want to improve these results, so I have added one more a square step. I have added. So instead of making this structure as a linear, just I have modified a shape like this. Okay, a square shape is being introduced at the fixed end. Okay, so that I could able to achieve more deflection. I observed more deflection. See, so I have introduced a part like you see. You can able to compare these two structures. So here you don't have this square. With square structure at the fixed end. But here, when you see the second structure, you will have a square step paddle trapezoidal cantilever. So you will hear this structure, which will gives more deflection when compared to that previous design. And these are the equations of moment of inertia and deflection. So theoretical analysis is performed. And this deflection, what is the result means 0.43837 is a nanometer is a deflection output total displacement for the design B. Totally two designs have been shown. First design is 0.3741 and second design is 0.43837 nanometer. When you compare the theoretical result as well as the simulation result, so this having the theoretical result of 0.3614 and simulation result is nearly around 0.3741. And if you see the design B, 0.478, and here you will have a 0.4387 is a simulated result. Okay, even we have done so many experiments with respect to different pressures. What about the linearity with respect to pressure? About rectangular, and what about trapezoidal? What about design A and design B is performed? And finally, it shows that stepped parallel trapezoidal consists of highest sensitivity. When we measure this sensitivity, this graph shows the variation of sensitivity with respect to rectangular. I mean, these are the improvement of results. Okay, for different cantilever. Even you can design a particular shape of cantilever when you apply a same pressure of 19.2 pascals. If you get the readings more than 0.4, or if you get a more deflection around 0.9, that is the best device. Okay. So even I have done stress analysis with respect to different biomolecule. See, for this particular HIV, so as I said, the mass is 10 power minus 18 kg. So the force exert is 9.8. Even you can measure by using this particular MEMS-based devices, that is micro cantilever devices. So that having deflection, I mean the stress produced by that particular cell, a single cell. So this is a mass of a single cell, which when it is introduced at the rectangular, it produces the one Mr. stress of 5.6319 into 10 power minus 8 Newton per meter square. So that much of stress is induced. Because why I am saying these values and all, see particular micro level of structure, when a single cell of HIV, a single cell of human adenovirus, a single cell of tobacco mosaic virus is being introduced on the structure, we could able to measure the von Mises stress. Even we could measure what is the deflection takes place when it is being introduced in the microstructure. See, any object when it is introduced into the microcantilever, it will some deformation takes place. That deformation you can able to measure. Okay, so that much of power we have in the thing here. So let you will see one more video. So we will take another 10 minutes to end the session. Okay, fine. So let you see one more video for explaining the micro cantilever working session. Just a minute. I think you could able to see the micro cantilever structure. See, I mean, an input analyte being introduced in the array of. See here, you don't have a single cantilever. It consists of an array of cantilever. Okay, and it has been focused onto that particular array only for our understanding. See. See, all the cantilever has been, see, observe, all the cantilevers oscillate on the constant frequency. All the cantilevers oscillates in the same frequency without any interaction between the antibody and antigen. So observe, some sort of antibody being attracts the antigen. See, antibody attracts an antigen. Now what happens to the frequency? See, different structures, so there will be some variation in the frequency is observed, right? So by measuring the difference on this frequency, we could able to measure the concentration as well as detection. So the amount of concentration can be measured. Hello. Yes. Okay. And let me come back to the presentation. I think we have covered about so this is about the micro cantilever working in dynamic mode. Okay, fine. And let I tell you how to, if you anyone interested to work on this particular micro cantilever platform, I'll give you some tips. So I'll take another 5 minutes and then I will close my session. Okay. So I'll tell you how to proceed the work. Okay, I want to give some idea on that. So first thing is you take a literature survey on different biosensors and summarize the literature. And one more thing, you find out the problem statement. Okay, what is the problem existing in this particular biosensor? And also because I mean a particular virus or a particular biomolecule detection. Okay, so what type of biomolecule you want to do the analysis, that you have to take based on the literature survey. So for that particular biomolecule, what type of microcantilever will be used, that you have to analyze. Okay, based on the biomolecule, the type of microcantilever you have to design. And and also you study the modes, because for particular biomolecule you can't use a dynamic mode, because for all the analysis, so far I have explained that in parallel cantilever everything I have used in static mode. When I do in dynamic mode, I could not able to achieve some more results. Okay, so you have to study the modes and what is a biomolecule equivalent for that, because you have to introduce a biomolecule in terms of pressure for simulation. You can't go directly on hardware part. First you have to simulate. When it gets success, then you have to fabricate, because when you go directly for the fabrication, the amount required is more. Okay, so after that, so you have to study the modes and biomolecule equivalent, and to find out the improvement in designs. Okay, you vary the different patterns, you vary the different shapes by, you vary the different material, and find out the best result, and then evaluate the performance and go for a result analysis. This way you can able to do for what to be next future works. So as I said, you can interested faculty go for a basic work, perform a microcantilever simulation with the, see, even some nanohub.org, there will be a particular online tools are available in nanohub.org. You can able to go a basic simulation of microcantilever, and you can study the stress produced by using a biomolecule, so which is very interesting subject. Okay, so if you take any biomolecule or any virus or a bacteria, if you find a stress which is produced by the biomolecule, is also one it's going to be a very wonderful study. And as I said, you are going to vary with the length, width, and thickness. So for that, you have to go for an equation called as a Stoney equation. So Stoney equation is a mother equation to find out the total displacement. So I have not covered the theoretical part of Stoney equation. So for every structure, you have to derive the Stoney equation to find out the theoretical values. So that theoretical value will be correlated with the practical value. You have to compare. Okay. And finally, you have to study the material to be used for the fabrication. Now, all the materials, so the example that I have shown is based on silicon. Now, the polymers are being used. So, SU8, the material called as a SU8, is a material which we are using in the fabrication of microcantilever parts. Still, the research is going on the materials. Okay, so that you could be able to achieve the maximum deflection. And one more thing, signal conditioning circuit. Signal conditioning circuit, as I said, how much interest you are having the designing of biosensor, the same way You have to concentrate on your signal conditioning circuit also. In the electronics part also, you can go for you can go in deep. So many differential amplifiers and high sensitive differential amplifiers. Okay, by using some transistors, some field effect transistors like FinFETs, carbon nanotubes field effect transistors. Okay, high sensitive field effect transistor, we can go for designing the signal conditioning circuits like differential amplifier, current mirrors are being used in the signal conditioning circuits. So those circuits you can able to design, which will be applicable for this biosensor, which will be integrated with the biosensor to display the results. Okay. So thanks for this opportunity. I would like to thank Dr. Usha ma'am for giving me this wonderful opportunity for just have given introduction about a small portion of my research work. Okay, thank you, madam. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. If you have any clarifications on my presentation, you can ask. So if you have any clarifications, you can ask.
Yeah, thank you, Gopinath, for your wonderful presentation and the way you have explained in a very slow and steady manner. And I hope all the people who have witnessed this webinar are very, very happy. I could see from the chat window the responses. And for people who would like to work in this area, I would like to give you a problem statement, because my research work is also on biosensors, where I have worked on ovarian cancer and prostate cancer. And see, the future demand on detecting cancer, as he said, it takes certain stage for us to detect, but the future is something very, very close, where you can even detect the cancer 10 years ahead of the cancer cells popping out. So that is based on this DNA chips. Actually, the idea is actually having the transistors. I mean, they can etch the transistors almost the size of molecules, and DNA is a molecule. So you can actually carve the architecture of proteins, enzymes, and DNA onto silicon chips, and within minutes, it will tell you whether you have cancer. The DNA chips could be placed in the bathroom mirrors, and you blow the bathroom mirror and it analyzes your saliva droplets, and it looks for the P53 gene. So broken P53 cancers. So your bathroom mirror will tell you if you have a lung cancer. So the whole process of computerizing your bathroom could change the way medical care is delivered. So there are a lot of things coming up in healthcare, and we all need to take the researchers' experience, because we don't have to do all those things once again. So if you are in touch with the researchers who are working in the same area, your half of your work will be done by them, and the inputs, whatever they give, is going to be really motivating and inspiring, and you can start your work from there. So I would request the participants to give any input on the questions. If you have any doubts on the session, if you have anything to be discussed.
Yes.
Somebody has asked how COMSOL is very much useful in biosensor.
Yes, yes. COMSOL is a tool, okay, which we can able to model microstructures. As we are concentrating on microstructures, the dimensions we can able to design. Even ANSYS also we can use, but COMSOL is a advanced tool which we can give. I mean, a low concentration, like even we can give in nanonewtons, nanopascals of pressure we can able to give as an input. So that is an equivalent weight or force which is given by the particular virus or a bacteria or any biomolecule. Because a single cell, the ultimate objective is you want to understand and you want to know what is the displacement or deflection caused a particular microcantilever is concerned. You want to measure amount of displacement takes place because of a single cell, either the single cell or whatever it may be. It may be a cell of HIV or a cell of cancer. Okay, whatever the biomolecule equivalent that we are going to measure. a particular displacement. So for that measuring a displacement, the 3D modeling could be able to 3D modeling could be performed when you use this COMSOL. That's what I am recommending COMSOL for simulating these microstructures. You can not only displacement, you can able to measure the stress which is produced by the biomolecule. Also, been so many analysis we can perform when you use COMSOL multiphysics. So, any other clarifications, any other doubts? If you want to ask, you can ask.
Thank you, Dr. Gobinath, and for the participants. On behalf of SEEK, I would like to thank each and every one of you for attending this webinar. And we are going to have a lot of informative webinars in this platform. And I've also asked for a few suggestions from the participants to give your choice of topics. And don't miss tomorrow's session. It's going to be really very interesting and experiential learning session. And it is Engineers Beyond Engineering, Art of Being an Engineer by an engineer, Vikram Vail. He's an embedded system engineer, and he's going to talk practically about what is engineering and how you need to feel yourself as engineers and how you need to make your students feel them as engineers. It's an art to feel like an engineer. And we are going to share you the feedback link, and I expect all of you to kindly submit the feedback forms, and we will certainly send you the e-certificates without fail. And please make sure that you join tomorrow's session by 4:45 p.m. So thank you so much once again from SEEK. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gopinath.
Ma'am, I have shared the link in the chat box. Participants can view.
Okay, sir. We will also share it in the WhatsApp group, and the forms or feedback forms are sent in the chat box. I request each and every one of you to fill the forms. We will share the tomorrow's webinar link. Can you share it now in this?
In WhatsApp group, we will share, ma'am. And even we will share through the registered mail ID.
Okay.
In the WhatsApp group, we will share. WhatsApp link. Once again, I'll share the WhatsApp link now.
Yeah, WhatsApp link you please share so that every time we do, we are planning for a variety of webinars. We will be having a webinar on entrepreneurship from an experienced entrepreneur who will also talk about the funding details. And also we are working on people from industry who can talk about the robotic process automation and machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, data science, and also on other areas like civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical, agriculture, and aerospace. We have a list to go on, and we are planning one by one. And I wish all of you participants to join us all the time and take the best out of the session. We would like to make this session very, very useful so that you have some takeaway. And also would like to request the students or whoever is attending many webinars, have a takeaway notebook or a digital copy where you make a note of what you have gained from each session, because the memory power of any human is not more than 24 hours. If you don't recall within 24 hours, you tend to forget if you don't recall again. So better you make a note of every webinar, whatever you learned from the webinar, and the contact details of a person and the area of interest. So you will have a good connectivity and communication that is very, very essential to improve yourself in your life. We may also have some life skill, work-life balance sessions. I will be presenting those sessions for you, and we will intimate you the sessions one by one.
I have shared that WhatsApp group link also.
Yeah, a WhatsApp group link is given. I request all of you to share. I mean, join through the link, whoever have not, so that the future communication and the intimation of the webinars or any technical information, it will be useful for you And you can reach us for any of the services which I mentioned in the earlier. You can also reach us if you're a college person. You can also reach me for conducting a webinar in your college for your students or for faculty development programs I'm doing. So make use of the resources available for you. You can go through the YouTube channel of mine, Dr. Usha Ishwaran. You can see the playlist and check the videos. A lot of career guidance, technology related videos are there. A lot of life related videos are there. Motivational videos are there. A lot of 21st century skill videos are there. And entrepreneurship videos are there. Parenting videos are there. A lot of variety of videos are there. Playlists are there. Please go through. And also let us know like in which area you are interested in so that you will be benefited out of the webinars or through YouTube. Yeah, definitely we will add you. You're all very, very important to us. All the attendees, I would like to once again, already the feedback link is shared, Shabitra. And you're all very, very valuable for us. I would be really thankful that you all stayed till the end. All the 100 participants stayed till the end. I'm very happy about it. And the credit goes to the presenter, Dr. PG Gopinath, for sharing wonderful information practically he has done. So definitely this is going to be very useful whether you share it for your own self or for your students. So I think we can...
Hello, ma'am. Can we end the session, ma'am?
Yes, we are coming to the end of the session. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to share.
Recording.
Yeah.